Hello everyone. Welcome to TCOM 101. Dr. Mike here, Ball State University. In this video, I want to begin a discussion about the concept of corporate social responsibility. What responsibilities and obligations do corporations have, especially media and tech corporations? Now, as a way of understanding the idea of social responsibility, let's start off at the individual level. Let's bring it down to a very personal level. Think about yourself as an individual. What are your responsibilities or obligations or duties as a citizen, other than just obeying the law? Do you have any other duties and responsibilities? Now, of course, these vary from individual to individual. But here's a list of some of the common obligations that many of us feel are our duties, like voting and political participation, being a good steward of the environment, not littering and wasting, volunteering, community service, giving back to the community. For some families, military service is a very important obligation. For other people, jury duty, organ donation. Think about this. What are some of your obligations and responsibilities to society? So let's turn our attention to companies, big corporations. How do the giant TCOM conglomerates, the big tech and media companies, how do these entities define social responsibility? In the 21st century, what duties and obligations do companies have to society? This is the basic concept of corporate social responsibility. Now, almost all of the big TCOM companies, the tech and media giants, they all claim to embrace some aspect of corporate social responsibility theory. They all claim that they want to be good citizens. So this is the basic idea behind social responsibility. It's the notion that companies should have a positive impact on the world, on the environment, on the consumers, on the employees, on the communities in which they're located, and all of the various stakeholders. So let's see what this looks like in action. Let's kind of operationalize the idea of corporate social responsibility. Social responsibility theory in action. I have identified 10 different dimensions of corporate social responsibility among the U.S. media and tech giants. This is a list that I have developed largely by examining the companies and their websites. So let me talk a bit about these different dimensions of social responsibility. Now, an important obligation for a media company, if it has a news division, is to provide journalistic integrity. What does that mean? To tell important stories, to be accurate, to be fair and balanced and truly impartial and not hyper-partisan. Journalistic integrity, it's a big obligation among the giant media companies, and it's the duty to tell us the truth. Now, sadly, a lot of people think that the mainstream news media publish a lot of fake news. I don't think they really do. I think this is because we've had a president, Donald Trump, who has constantly criticized the press as the enemy of the people and has constantly talked about this notion of fake news. What is good journalism? Well, first, it's telling the important stories in the society and the culture and not the trivia. Good journalism is fair and balanced. It's impartial and objective. It tries its best to be comprehensive. Good journalism provides background and analysis and interpretation. Good journalism is independent. It's not, good journalists aren't beholden to anybody except the public. And of course, good journalism would represent less sensationalism and less celebrity and less gossip. Now, a second way that media companies show their social responsibility is by supporting ratings and filtering devices. This is mostly to protect children from strong content, to make sure that content actually reaches the intended audience. But ratings and protection of children, an important part of social responsibility theory. Now, occasionally there are some controversies in the world of ratings and whether certain forms of content deserve to have certain ratings, but overall the system has served us very well in terms of social responsibility and protecting children. So most socially responsible media professionals absolutely embrace and accept and support the content rating systems, and they follow the ratings guidelines. Okay, now there should always be a lot of transparency and disclosure around the rating system. And of course, media companies should never market to inappropriate audiences and should always enforce the ratings. Now, another way that the media giants can show social responsibility is by being aware of important social concerns like the use of tobacco and child obesity, and to be sensitive to how these topics and issues are portrayed in movies, TV shows, video games, and other forms of media content. Okay, even though there's been an attempt to cut down on tobacco depictions in movies, recently some of the smoking scenes have increased. Okay, but I think a socially responsible film company tries to reduce and eliminate depictions of tobacco use. So how should these big media companies deal with social concerns? Well, one way is to have public service announcements, prevent forest fires, don't text and drive, don't drive drunk. This is an important way you can address social problems, public service campaigns and announcements. Most of the big studios have specific policies on how tobacco and smoking is depicted. Many of the companies realize that there are significant concerns around nutrition and health, and lifestyles and dieting. Alcohol and drug portrayal, sex, erotica, all of these have to be handled in ways that are socially responsible. All right, another important dimension of social responsibility is the idea of giving back a little bit to the world. To whom much is given, much is expected. So a good socially responsible company engages in community outreach, in volunteerism, in philanthropy. We're talking about trying to give back, service work, in order to make it a better world. So there's a lot of ways a company can give back to the community through philanthropy, through charitable giving, through volunteerism, by supporting a bunch of good causes in the world and the community. Another hugely important dimension of social responsibility is the idea of environmentalism and having good, solid environmental initiatives. The idea here is sustainability and going green to protect the environment. Now some media companies are still disputing whether or not there's global warming. We'll let you figure that one out on your own, whether or not global warming is a hoax. But most media companies recognize that it's important to go green, to conserve resources, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to divert waste, to engage in more recycling, to conserve water, to raise public awareness around environmental issues, and actually to fund some conservation efforts Those are all good practices in terms of sustainability and environmental stewardship. But it's certainly important in today's world to care about some of these environmental issues. Now, there are many, many other important obligations I think that media and tech companies face, and we'll talk about these in the next short video, but they would include diversity initiatives, consumer privacy protections, protection of children, supply chain ethics, and fair labor standards and workplace safety. So I'll be talking about those ideas in the next video. Okay, that's all we've got for this little video on social responsibility. Please continue to take care of yourselves and behave in ways that are socially responsible, like wearing a mask and practicing the social distancing. Take care, everybody. So long.